All right, everybody. The doc will be joining us soon. Dr. Proctor from TLC. He's with a patient right now, so it ran a little long. So I thought I'd answer some questions about what I plan on asking. You guys could suggest things that you would like me to ask him. I've been looking very forward to talking to him. He is the reason, and I'm going to talk to him more about this, but he's the reason that I decided that I kind of evolved my opinion on gastric bypass surgery, just because of how he did it before. Every time I've seen it done, or not actually seen the surgery done, because no thank you, but every time I had seen somebody get it before, it was just this thing where they literally just had the person just get the surgery, almost nothing to actually support them, from nutritional or psychological standpoint, which are huge issues for anybody that needs gastric bypass surgery, in my opinion, of course. And I hope that he sees the same. I'd imagine he does, seeing as how that's the impression I got. Got chalk on my arm. Wasn't even lifted enough before this. Got chalk on my arm. What's going on? How you doing? KDM 7777. What's happening? But to me, my thought process was that if they can't change their lifestyle, they'll just gain the weight back anyway. And that's kind of it's just kind of the truth. There's different methods to gastric bypass, and there's different methods to bariatric treatment. There is restrictive, which is basically, when they do cut out a portion of the stomach, or they, even with the lap band, they make it so the stomach is smaller. They have like the restrictive surgeries, the malabsorptive surgeries, which they actually bypass portions of the intestines and the stomach. And then there's like they have these new ones that they oh, hang on. No, okay. They have new versions of it where they use like an electric sensor to actually dull the vagus nerve, so that doesn't register that you're hungry, which is pretty fucking interesting. I don't know if I trust that shit, because what happens if all this shit is very, like, I still personally believe. Why do I have a barbell? Because I'm in my power rack. This is my gym. So why don't you have a barbell? Maybe you should have one. No, I'm not lifting right now. I lifted earlier for the members, though. I lifted today and yesterday for the members. So this is just left over from it. This is the easiest place for, like, this is my studio. Crystal has a studio in there, and the truck is out front, but I wanted to be able to have, like, sit at a computer to talk to the doctor. So I'm still going to film out of the truck for those of you that have been asking. Let me see here. Let's see how that goes. But like I said, kicking geese, how are you? Do you think these people should do it naturally? If they absolutely can, they should. For some people, I really believe this. Some people, like Casey, I talked to him last week, and Amanda, and even Amy, like, I do believe some people absolutely, like, they've run out of time in order to learn the proper life skills to get it done. Like, if they don't get the surgery, they're going to die. So the surgery can buy them time. What they do at that time is up to them, because many people just end up adding the weight back on after surgery because they don't take the proper psychological or lifestyle steps in order to actually learn what they need to do. So it becomes a major issue that it only buys them like a little bit of weight loss, like a little bit of time. Let's see. Would it be possible to swear a bit less than usual during this interview? It would be slightly more professional and might reach more people. You know what? I probably am going to, but I don't fucking care what fucking thing people think is fucking professional. That's fucking rude, in my opinion, of course. I'm always me, so there's going to be some swearing. It just is. But I will sometimes not swear in videos. But that's really a rude thing to fucking ask. Could you not? Maybe you could not ask. Maybe you could not let swear words bother you so much, because they are just that, words. It's a little ridiculous, and for people that are bothered by words, there's so many other things going on in the world to be bothered by words. It's crazy to me. If you don't think professionals swear, you're fucking stupid. What medication would you recommend for pain relief and injury? I wouldn't recommend a goddamn medication because I'm not a doctor, and no doctor's probably going to recommend you a medication over the internet anyway. Let's see. New truck, new year? No, same truck. Why? It's not dead. I drive vehicles till they're dead. And anybody that looks to their vehicle to like kind of like as like an extension to them, you know. It's Jonathan. Awesome videos playing. Thank you very much. Thoughts on kettlebells? They're effective when used correctly. I have a friend, Steve Cotter, that juggles them. It's pretty fucking interesting. What age did I start going bald? Probably like 28, something there. And everyone would work for boredom or comfort eaters, though. Yeah, but you wonder how long, and you wonder the long-term effects of that. You know, I still think, I think that one's a little crazy. Like that one more than any fucking. Where I was like, holy fuck, really? Let's see here. Hope he doesn't run too long. Hope he didn't have an emergency. If he does, he does. So he's taking care of people. Good for him. Let's see. Clutter. Sent. Let's see. Those are the what are the dangers for those who have a procedure like gastric bypass? Who do you not change? Who do you not change and continue to eat? I don't know. That's a good question that we'll ask the doc, because I really think. One second. There we go. Anyone else get a little echo? It's because I'm in the gym. Scott, how the hell are you? Maggie, how are you? Tips for recomping: take a long time to do it. Eat a caloric maintenance and work out hard. Make sure you get enough protein. Work out hard. People act like it's some sort of secret. It's not. Someone already downvoted the video? Of course. I mean, I love, here's the thing, downvote everything you want, because YouTube still loves those. It's considered interactions. That actually helps the channel. Like the biggest thing, if somebody hates your channel, that they can do, if somebody really, 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 really hates you and they're, smarter than a rock, they would just not watch, because that's what YouTube hates. If all of a sudden there was like 15,000 dislikes on this video, it would be put into the rankings like crazy. My friend laughed at your language. It's great to see how you can change your mind when you get more informed. Well, I think more people need to fucking understand that. Like, you need to be able to evolve your opinion on shit. Like, if new information comes out, fucking change your mind. What the fuck? There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I was wrong, but that's because that's all I've been shown. And even in my research, that's all I've been shown. Like, the statistics for people that are just getting weight back. And a lot of that was led by the by lap band. Lap band surgeries have had many, many issues. I'm going to ask the doctor about that too. We'll see. Got the like button for the last statement. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've come across people who've had bypass and are sleeping there just like, I just need to lose 80 pounds and I want to punch them. That's just, I wouldn't like to have a portion of your stomach cut out for 80 pounds is a little much. 2 downvotes already. Excellent. What happened to my hair? It fell out and then I shaved the rest of it off. So it's called male pattern baldness. It's from both sides of my family. You sound like you're worried about going bald, because you've asked me about 2 questions about that now. Keep it real. Thank you. Semper Fire. The guy who asked me not to swear, please change his personality. Why should Alan change? Exactly. Fucking stupid. People are stupid. The thing about the swearing is that it differs depending on what country you live in. Australians swear all the time, and it isn't seen as offensive there. That's the fucking truth. I mean, it's just people that find offensive words is just like, to me that's kind of sad. At what point in weight loss should obese women start incorporating squats? That depends on the person. That can't possibly be answered over an internet question. It depends on a person's mobility, their weight, how the condition of their knees, the condition of their posterior chain strength, stuff like that. That can't possibly be answered. Like, I can't give an answer out like that. That's the problem. Like that's what people. It's amazing to me how these assholes give specific responses. Like you need to do 10 sets of this. They've never seen you, never met you, never don't know your mobility, have no fucking idea what your capabilities are, have no clue like what your background is, nothing like that, and they're telling you that you need to do 10 sets of something. That's fucking crazy. Love your videos. Thank you very much. Swear as much as you want. I have no choice. So. Is there anything wrong with being quad dominant in the right leg and glute dominant in the left leg? I would imagine it causes a muscular imbalance. Kelly, I've been watching your videos for the last year or so, and I love how passionate you are. Thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. Alan, what's your advice on getting a heavier squat? I'm aiming for 380 pounds this summer. First, you need to think about why you are, because if you're, if it's just to get stronger, if it's going to platform, you should think about why. But the biggest thing I can tell anybody is to squat safely, because if you can squat, the more often you can squat, the stronger you'll get. But if you try to push it too hard, too heavy, and you injure yourself, you'll be laid up from it. So squat safely and make sure your form is very, very good. I don't have a problem with the swearing 99.9% of the time. I don't give a fuck about the other 0.1 you have a problem with it with. I really don't. That means that 0.1% of the time I couldn't give a fuck what you think. Let's see. Now I just leapt forward. Let me see here. Come on, Doc. Nah, I'm just kidding. If he's tied up, he's tied up. And do you have any specials on coaching for students? No, I don't. I really don't. How do you stop yo-yo dieting? You really just need to make sure you have a decent relationship with food to the point where you just try to maintain and be consistent. If you maintain healthy life choices, healthy food choices, and healthy activity, your weight will take care of itself. But when you try to restrict something to the point where you're just trying to lose weight, at some point in time, you're going to start eating the way you normally ate before and go back up. You need to alter that portion of your lifestyle to the point where you get healthier. My mom doesn't let me watch this guy because he swears. Please stop swearing. Your mother's a pussy. She doesn't let you watch. Maybe you shouldn't be watching right now. So I just want to say I love you and your honesty. Thank you very much. Hello from Germany. Do you think that insomnia causes weight gain or weight gain causes insomnia? I'd imagine it's a double-edged sword. I can imagine one could lead to the other fairly easily. So, and we're just going to mute messages in your chat. That's correct. Here we go. And let's see. How much water are you drinking a day? At least a gallon. Normally like a gallon and a half. Randa, what's up, motherfucker? How you doing? I can answer the dangers from gastric bypass patient. We'll talk. I watch your videos every morning on my way to work. Remind myself this one. Good for you. Love the content. Thank you very much. What do you think? What do you think is the best bit of advice you could give somebody who wants to turn that fat into muscle? I would tell them that you can't turn fat into muscle. Hey, Alan, what's going on? Love the channel. Thank you. Sweet Kennedy just sent an email. Yes. Okay. Good. And here we are. Have you seen Game Changers? I have still not watched Game Changers. I really haven't. Hi, I would like to let you know that the anti-fat acceptance made by, this is where he mentioned you. Thank you. Rich is a good guy. I like him a lot. Are all my clients food addicts? Are a lot of us reviewers. Not all of them are food addicts. We do have quite a few people that have some food addiction or some eating disorder, but not all of them are food addicts. Where can I buy cheap gym equipment to create my own gym? You can probably find someone on Amazon. That's where I found mine. Thoughts on shoulder press behind the neck? For most people, you're fucking stupid. So let's see. Any tips for exercise post thyroidectomy? No, I'm not a doctor. So thoughts on Fat and Back documentary? I haven't watched that yet either. So German's good, alive and well. Love you. What's going on? Let's see. You send me a DM on Instagram. Is that the best way to start? I believe I get to DMs as much as I can. I get like 100 DMs on Instagram every day. So yes, please. How to gain weight? Do you have any programs to gain weight? You can gain weight by eating more. Eating more and physical activity. You want to just increase your calories slightly until you start gaining weight. And then once you stop gaining weight, then if you want to gain more weight, then you'd increase your calories slightly. I suggest, a decent mix, probably a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass works out perfectly. Then a good mix of fats and carbs in there too. Worst types of people at the gym: people that care about other people at the gym. I don't fucking notice people at the gym. And let's see. Jonathan, I'm not answering it because you keep spamming it. Okay. I'm a year out of gastric bypass in February. I'm 220 pounds down. Good for you. Good for you. Hope you have no complications too. Let's see. Hey, I've lost about 38 pounds around 2.5 months. Is that normal if you were around 300 pounds? It's a little. I would actually consider that a little heavy, but a little bit, a decent amount. But I would worry that that's not. I mean, you just need to understand it's not sustainable either. So, why do some guys care about going bald? It's not a big deal. I don't know. Like, it's very self-conscious. I mean, especially like people that ask about it. Like, what I find funny is that people that throw that as an insult, like, they're terrified of going bald. Like, people that, like, I love being bald. I absolutely fucking do. I started shaving my head before I got like bald. When as soon as I started thinning, I started shaving my head. I fucking love it. So, Amanda, how the hell are you? Just came to say Dr. Proctor is the best doctor, and he's the best human being on the planet, and no excuse not to take control of your health. It can be. Yeah, we're still. I think he's with a patient. We're still waiting for him to get on. So there are lots worse words than swear words. No shit. Fucking pussies. Anyway. Thanks for answering. I have a therapist to help me with food addiction. Good. What's your least favorite exercise that you include in your workout routine? I don't know. I really don't. I enjoy dedicating stuff to all of them all the time. So for 4 months, because I replaced the heroin and pills with gym. That's fucking great for you. Great for you. No shit. Good for you. What are your top 3 fitness YouTube channels? I really don't. I mean, Jeff, James, and then there's a bunch of Tide. We fucking watch Jeff and James every fucking day. How do you do with family members who are unable each other for fast food and junk? They are literally hurting themselves. It's so heartbreaking. I mean, that's kind of how I approach telling them too. Like, you guys are hurting yourselves. You guys are going to kill yourselves. When both you fall out, who do you think is going to take care of you? What exercise would you suggest to grow fast in the upper chest? Exercises on patience, because you shouldn't. I mean, it's going to take a minute. Like, I would suggest you learn patience. Like, you work on your patience. So exercises that will help build your patience. 30 pounds down, 6 to go. Good for you. Can you recommend a diet for people that has lactose intolerance and can't eat lactose substitute? Don't eat anything with lactose in it. There's your diet. I mean, it's actually kind of your nutrition plan. I mean, that's not, what are your least favorite hairstyles? I don't fucking care. That shit, I pay attention to that shit so little, it's fucking crazy. Let's see. Yeah, I skipped way too far forward. Way too far forward. The doc must be really caught up. When's the next full Avengers meeting? I have no idea. Advice on recovering from injury, pulled muscle, rest. Talk to your doctor, make sure it's pulled muscle. Hey, I love your videos, refreshing. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. I've lost 70, 325 over 6 months. Good for you. That's fucking crazy. That's good. What's up, Paul? How the hell are you doing? What's the fastest way to get educated on the most critical detriments of living unhealthy? The internet. Look it up. Hey, Alan. Geez, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, we share the name, same name. We don't spell it the same. It's cool. I had a few complications with my gastric bypass, but I lost the weight because I'm a cancer patient and got a recent invasive cancer diagnosis. Ooh, I hope you're okay. How do I get out of the habit of weighing myself every day? I'm trying to stop weighing every day, and it's really affecting me mentally. My wife took my scale. That's what broke me from the habit. My wife took my scale because I probably wouldn't have stopped if we're not. It was an unhealthy relationship. I was weighing myself once a day, and then it got to be twice a day. I found myself dehydrating myself a little bit for the second weigh-in for an arbitrary number. So my wife took my scale. What's up, Dustin? Dustin from Ross Township, Pittsburgh. How the fuck you doing? How you doing, Avery? Thank you. Do you ever work your legs until you struggle to walk? About once a week. Thoughts on Camp Gladiator? Never seen. What do you think about the gravity transformation guy? From what I understand, he just kind of remakes some videos and stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't watch his stuff. Just to be honest. Favorite playlist while working out? I can listen to. I've got a playlist of my own. I has everything from Eminem, House of Pain, Tupac, all the way up to all the way up to some hard rock, Megadeth, all the way down to Jeff, the Moxon Creek, Blacks, stuff like that. Do I know the channel spread sports science, and if so, do I approve? I've heard of him before. Yeah, I've heard of him. You must not watch my channel much. So non-fitness or health-related question, but what other hobbies or interests do you have? You're looking at it. I really do. I love to read, and my wife and I watch a little bit of TV, but I really got to be truly honest. I live this life. Like, I really do. Like, it is like 14 hours a day, and I love it. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, he's still with the patient. Oops, did it again. Damn it. Damn it, Jim. Weigh weekly at the gym. I don't avoid that anymore. As long as I'm having healthy lifestyle behaviors and I know I'm eating healthy and I'm working out every day, I avoid the scale. I'll go to the scale. I'll let the doctor weigh me, of course, and I'll find out then. But that's it, But maybe lose weight even though I was stronger. I didn't want to die. I mean, being that heavy at my age is stupid. Also you can be stronger. Like you're trading a number on a bar for like years. Fuck that. I love my life. My life fucking kicks major ass. I would never fucking. Once I woke up to holy shit, I might be short in my fucking life. That was boom. My best relationship advice: marry somebody you love. How often would you recommend weighing yourself? If you don't have to, don't weigh yourself at all. I mean, if you're making adjustments, probably once a week. That's where we have our clients weigh in for a while. But then after a while, we wean our clients off the scale too. Let's see here. Let's see. What's my opinion on training masks? I recently did a video about that. They're stupid as fuck. Training masks are moronic. They really are. It is. It is for like endurance, it doesn't have any effect. If anything, it hinders you because it doesn't replicate high altitude training. It just doesn't. And for HIIT training, it actually lowers the volume you can possibly do because it makes it hard to pull air into your lungs. It's stupid. Completely dumb. Slipknot, I like Slipknot. Oops. Let's see here. Huh. Give me a second. I'm waiting on a computer delivery. Anyway, I'm getting a new PC for broadcasting. Oop. Cool. Oh, here we go. And here's the doc. How you doing, Doc?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you all right. So I hope everything was going okay. I told everybody you had a patient, so I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, I apologize for making everybody wait.
Oh, no apology. You're taking care of somebody. So please don't apologize at all. So this is Dr. Charlie Proctor, and you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
So Charlie Proctor. I'm a bariatric and general surgeon in Atlanta, Georgia. I do probably 99% weight loss surgery, a little bit of other general surgery at this point, but I've kind of focused on that for the last several years. I have a practice called Beltline Bariatric here in Atlanta, and we have a couple of TV shows running around over on TLC to try to educate folks on what we do.
So how did that come about? The TV shows?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I started my practice in June of 2016, and one day, probably a few months into the practice, I come back in the office, and the girls tell me that I got a call from these folks called Crazy Legs, and that they were a production company, and that they had an idea for a TV show. In fact, it had already been sold to TLC. They were looking for a surgeon and wanted to talk to us about it. And we'll get calls from time to time. I have for years, which is generally kind of a scam. Somebody says, "Hey, listen, we want you to be on our talk show, and we're going to have." This particular star is going to be the one. It's his talk show, and he's going to interview you, and you can package this up, and it's going to be shown all over your area to millions of people, and you can use it. And I thought, that's all this thing is. So I told the girls, I'll tell you what, if they agree to bring us all lunch, we'll meet with them next week. And so the production company came in as they're talking about it, said, you know what, this thing kind of sounds real. So that afternoon, I ran over to the hospital, and we kind of got things going.
Very, very interesting. And this is the third season you're doing right now, right?
We're doing a third season right now. In fact, what's airing right now is a one-off called 1,000-Pound Sisters that aired January 1st. I think the second episode was on Monday. And currently we're in production for a show called Life by the Ton, which is going to be sort of like Family by the Ton, a little bit different.
Yeah, I haven't watched the 1,000-Pound Sisters yet. I'm almost afraid.
You should be.
I will watch it, of course. But I'm almost afraid. I saw the trailer. I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
The hands full. So, you and I talked a little bit, just on the phone, and I wanted to talk about a few things. I was telling the audience, and most people know that you, especially in your show, are the reasons why my opinion on bariatric surgery evolved, because I was very, very astutely against it. Meaning, I thought that people, if they didn't learn the life skills they needed, that no matter what, even once they had surgery, eventually the weight gain would happen. And I also, from my understanding, is that it can be very dangerous if they don't change their eating patterns. Like if they still just live on pizza, that it causes even more problems.
Sure.
So the reason why you changed my opinion is because you were very, very clear about them changing their lifestyle on almost every episode. Because I don't want to get you in any issues with anybody else, but why do you think that you take that stance where so many other doctors don't?
Because it's necessary. I mean, we're not up there doing this just to count the number of cases we're doing every year. This is all about changing somebody's life for the better. It's not a risk-free procedure. None of them are. And to undergo this and not be absolutely prepared as the patient I'm talking about, then there's no reason to do it. So we will not touch a patient unless they've gone through extensive preoperative education, psychological counseling, and then just like you saw in the show, my nutritionist has to say, this person is good to go, they understand it. My psychologist has to say, this person is on the right mental plane, they're okay to go do this right now. If I don't get that from either one of them, it's just too dangerous, as you said, to go do this. Lifestyle changes, when you need to lose over 100 pounds, lifestyle changes by themselves are not going to last forever.
Right.
Bariatric surgery by itself is not going to last forever, but the two combination together, that's going to give us the best shot of permanent weight loss.
Yeah, I found it because I've had many clients that have gotten bariatric surgery before, and like they literally had no follow up. I mean, like it was like they got the surgery and they were just kind of sent home, and
Yeah.
they all like one person got malnourished to the point where their hair fell out and their teeth were getting loose because they weren't eating the proper nutrition. Like it was still, and they weren't losing that much weight after the first 6 months because they were living on soda still and soda and just poor food. Like the first time I met the person, they were eating Twinkies, and I was like, "You must be kidding me!" Like they were like, "I can only fit one." I'm like, "That's not even like food,
Not protein Twinkies, huh?
No. And so what are after somebody would get, and there are multiple different kinds. I mean, there's the lap band, and then there's multiple different kinds. But you do mostly gastric sleeves, or?
Yeah, I think most practices out there right now are doing mostly sleeves, probably because most candidates that present to us are sleeve candidates. And what I mean by that is the average patient that's going to present to any bariatric practice is a BMI in the mid-40s, probably age in the mid-40s. And that's a very appropriate patient for a sleeve gastrectomy.
Okay.
I consider the sleeve sort of the first rung on the ladder of aggressiveness, followed then by the gastric bypass and then the duodenal switch, which is what I tend to do for the really, really large patients. So we do all three of those. I quit doing lap bands about 10 years ago. I hope you're not sponsored, but I think it's a terrible operation, and I quit doing those a while back. We take them out about every week.
Doc, I don't get any sponsors, so this is how I talk. So just so people understand, and Doc, you can tell me if I'm wrong. The lap band is actually a band that they put that they can be surgically implanted. It's almost it's a outpatient procedure, is it not?
It's an outpatient procedure, and the thought behind it was, in order to lose weight, we just need to restrict the amount of food people eat, right? Whether that's by putting a balloon in the stomach, wrapping a band around the top as a noose to kind of restrict how much food can come in, gastric bypass, all it was thought that we're restricting this. As it turns out, it's really not. It's more of a neurohormonal type of operation that, for whatever reason, creating this permanent manipulation to the GI tract will entice the brain to want to go back and read its DNA and say, what are we really supposed to weigh here? Whereas a balloon and a lap band are not going to do that. They don't really create any kind of change. They are going to, for a very short period of time, have a patient eat less weight, but there's always ways around that.
Right. They can drink their calories and everything like that when
Sure.
they're on a lap band.
Sure.
And then the gastric sleeve is where a section, what is it? 70% of the stomach is removed, right?
We do a longitudinal sleeve where we kind of create a long, narrow tube of the stomach coming down from the esophagus. Probably 2/3 of the stomach are removed. It varies depending on how big the stomach is. It's not how much I remove, it's how much I leave behind. So we use calibration tubes that we place in there that we staple along to calibrate the size of it. But yeah, we remove about 2/3.
And then you move on to the malabsorptive procedures, right, where you're actually bypassing parts of the intestines and everything like that, correct?
Yeah, so for the next two rungs of aggressiveness, the next one being the gastric bypass, we're going to make an even smaller stomach than the sleeve, and we're going to bypass about the first 1.5 meters of small bowel. Everybody's got about 6 to 7 meters, which is where all of your nutrient absorption takes place.
Right.
So really bypassing 1.5 meters of 6 or 7 meters is not that aggressive, but what it does is, for whatever reason, almost overnight changes the way lipids and sugar are metabolized. So folks who are type 2 diabetics will usually within a day or so not be diabetic anymore.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
You're gonna be doing a lot of those surgeries. You're gonna be doing a lot of those surgeries coming up in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because the diabetes epidemic is worse than the obesity epidemic. I mean, it's just not as nearly as publicized, in my opinion.
Sure, sure. You don't have to be obese to be diabetic, but certainly, the two will go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like something like 75 to 80% of people that are type 2 diabetic are obese, but that oftentimes is just when an obese person, their diet is almost dooming them to develop some sort of insulin resistance, especially when you add in for women when they already have PCOS and everything like that too. I mean, that can make it even worse.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy. Not only is the diet generally really bad, but as we found in the last several years, adipose tissue, when found in large quantities, is actually an endocrine organ that causes these overnight kind of endocrine shifts in the body. Whereas, you mentioned PCOS, females' blood sugar goes up. They start getting hirsutism or growing hair in strange places. They become infertile. Your body stops recognizing insulin. Your blood pressure goes to the roof. These are all endocrine things that occur, not just because of a number on a scale, but because of having too much adipose tissue.
Right, and then the last one is like the duodenal switch, where
Yeah. So it's the sleeve, and then we're going to bypass about half of the small bowel, so a much more aggressive intestinal bypass, which obviously greatly decreases the amount of surface area for absorption of food, but it also decreases the patient's ability to absorb fats. So a big side effect of that one is if they decide they're going to grab a cheese pizza after that surgery, they better bring extra underwear because it's going to blow right through them.
Oh, that's horrible. But I mean, if it, what about like essential fatty acids?
Yeah, so you can't absorb fats, you have a hard time absorbing fat-soluble vitamins as well. So with increasing degrees of aggressiveness and increased degrees of intestinal bypass, we have to do more and more vitamin supplementation. So as you mentioned before, seeing a patient, unfortunately, who was not taking vitamins, was having some nutritional deficiencies, that's the kind of problems you're going to get into without follow-up, without doing things you need to do.
Yeah, that's why I'm amazed at the follow-up for many, because I'm friends with Amanda and Amy. Like I've talked to them ever since I met them last year in Atlanta, which I would love to have dinner with you. We're gonna be down there the 27th, 28th, and 29th of February.
Let's set it up.
We'll definitely set it up. I would love to have that. But ever since I met them last year, I've been keeping in contact, and she had the second step procedure too, and she is very meticulous about what she takes in. And the follow-up has been amazing. She sees you all the time, where I have had clients where there's they have not seen their surgeon since their surgery.
Yeah.
And I find that I was just and that's why I think your profession gets such a bad name. I mean, there is the fat acceptance community that's demonizing any type of fat loss to a certain extent, but I think that's why your profession started out with such a bad name. Now, because I think that lap band is what did it. I really, really do. You and I talked about it on the phone, but then I did some research based off what you said. So if you want to explain why lap band people started moving away from it, but also it was like a weekend course or something like that for doctors,
Yeah, so a couple of points what you made as far as the follow-up goes. I think, as you said, we're kind of to blame for the bad name that bariatric surgeons have gotten. Bariatric surgery is not a board certified specialty. So you can go to a fellowship and you can get trained in doing it, but there's no certain specifications you have to meet. So as you mentioned, the requirements for placing a lap band were going to a weekend course and checking the boxes that I went there, and then you get a certificate from the lap band folks, and you can go hang your shingle and say you're a bariatric surgeon, which is kind of scary, with really nothing in place as far as nutritional setup, psychological setup, and so forth. And there were so many places out there that were just interested in volume. In fact, there were outpatient surgery centers owned by non-physicians who would hire physicians to come in to operate on folks they'd never even met before, do 20 or 30 lap bands a day and just go. And unfortunately, we continue to see that happening today with sleeve gastrectomies. That can be done as an outpatient. There's places you can go to in the United States as well as Mexico very cheaply for a few $1,000s, get your sleeve gastrectomy and move on.
They can get part of their stomach taken out,
Yeah, and move on. And we're selling folks on, listen, as long as you have the surgery, everything's going to be rosy. The clouds will part, and that'll take care of everything. Don't worry about what else you do. and it's not right. People shouldn't be treated like that. People shouldn't be taught that that's how things are. Now, bariatric surgeons evolve from general surgeons, right? You come to me, you've got a bad gallbladder. I prove that's what's going on. We post the time. I take your gallbladder out, see you afterwards, make sure you're doing okay, pat you on the butt, and say, all right, call me if you need me. And I think that's unfortunately the way a lot of bariatric surgery is being done these days.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the thing that I've always run across, because I was coaching people before I even started, started the YouTube and everything like that. And I had some people who were like, that was where my opinion evolved. Like I had people get, I had one person where the sleeve actually kind of dissolved into the stomach a little bit,
eroded into the stomach. We've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, like horrific things, like where I was just like, holy shit. And like, to me, that's I think where when it comes like this conveyor belt, and that it's like an actual product too. So then people wonder if there's being like the doctors are getting incentives from the companies to create the actual the sleeve, the lap, the band, and I mean, so people wonder about that. What is the most resistance you meet? Like when you meet somebody that's, because I'm sure you've gotten large clients, obviously. Like 400 or 500 pound women, or 500-600 pound men. What is their biggest resistance?
For the most part, obviously, I'm selected out for the patients who show up in my office because they're interested in having surgery. Now, I ask everyone how long they've been thinking about it, and the average answer is about 3 years. So obviously, there was a period of research, resistance, whatever there. Whether it was family, friends telling them, no, don't do this, it's too dangerous, you can do it the natural way. They've generally been through multiple trials of different types of diets and diet pills and these kind of things, and seeing the yo-yo. So generally it's, when they come see me, they're just fed up. They've done everything, they've tried everything. But I think fear is the biggest thing. It's an elective surgery. You don't generally hear much out there except for the really bad stuff, especially as you're getting on the internet. I think gastric bypass, first paper was written back in 1957, so it's withstood the trials of time, but it's also one that's somebody has bariatric surgery, and from that point on in your life, anything that happens to you was because you had bariatric surgery. If you had a bypass 10 years ago and you stepped out in front of a bus, probably because you had a gastric bypass.
Right. Yeah. I'm familiar with that too. That people always relate it back, I do find that amazing. So when, say, somebody gets a gastric sleeve, what can they expect? Like what type of weight loss could somebody expect in the first year, 2, 3, 4?
The papers that are out there will tell you 50 to 60% excess weight loss. So excess is anything above your ideal body weight. I think we tend to see better results than that, and maybe that's just because we follow the patients pretty closely and make them adhere fairly strictly to their diets. But we'll see around 80% excess weight loss with most folks with these operations. Awesome. Most of that is going to be front loaded in the first 6 months after surgery. The second 6 months, you'll see more inches than weight. You'll see longer periods of time between when the scale moves. And for my average patient with a BMI in the mid-40s, most of that weight loss will occur for about 1 year before it's completely done. For the patients who are much larger, like the ones you see on the show, they may lose weight for up to 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, Casey said he's still doing good. So I actually spoke to him last week. So he really, I was shocked he actually reached out to me because he really did not like me. But he really did not. We had a very good conversation, and I think I'm gonna. When I'm down there, I'm going to help him out with a few things. I think he's having trouble with his lifestyle, because I find that to be the biggest. When people hold on to that even after surgery, I'm almost amazed. Like when somebody comes to you and you tell them, like, you give them the truth, like they're going to have to change their lifestyle. What is the biggest resistance you think you hear about that? Where, like, do people come to you and like they still want to be able to eat what they want to eat? They're just hoping you can fix the weight,
Yeah, luckily that's rare. It's rare to see a patient who's just blown away by the fact that they have to change their entire lifestyle. I think most people know that coming in the door. Now, when you get into patients like Casey, we can talk about Casey because he's on TV. and other ones that you've seen on the show, when you get to be that large, 600 pounds, 700 pounds, I saw a fellow today in the hospital was 900 pounds. That's a completely different set of psychology. That's generally the patient has made their weight almost a lifestyle. Yeah. They've set up their life. Shataka from season 1, she'll tell you how she set up her lifestyle so that everything could be within arm's reach, and everybody that around her was supporting her as far as bringing her the food and doing the things that she needed to do. So not only you're dealing with trying to break the patient from that lifestyle, but you also have to do something with the enablers all around them. So it's a much, much more complex case when you get to weights that big.
Yeah, I've talked to many of the, I've talked to almost everybody that's on the show besides Ed for the last season, but I brought it up to all of them. Like, it's almost, when people get to be 400, 500, 600 pounds, it's almost a maturity thing. Like they revert back to being like almost childlike, where it's a manipulation thing for the people around them, and they almost like they'll do and say anything to try to get food. I mean, they're truly addicted to that whole portion of it. My biggest worry that I always tell them as they lose weight, like, make sure you know who you are, not just who you are while losing weight, because that can be a problem too, where they all of a sudden identify as the person that's losing weight, So at the end, they need to be the person that didn't lose, that hasn't lost weight. They just need to be them. Like, it's like this big spiritual almost type of reckoning for them. And that's where I think that why I was so happy to see, like, because it's TV, so they could easily paint it where, like, you're just like this, fun-loving surgeon who doesn't actually follow up this. They could have painted you in any way they wanted. That's why I was like, I don't know about TV, because a few people have reached out, and I was just like, they could paint me to be this horrific person, how I am. Like, I mean, if I would have control of my own, like, editing and stuff like that, I could be painted to be a very, very bad person. And I was very happy to see where it's like on TV, it being represented where the point where, like, you have to change your lifestyle. You have to, and that's rare. I mean, like, they do it with Dr. Now too, which I don't know if you've ever met him, but I think they should do a crossover with you guys. It would be amazing. But it's the stuff that not only do what I talk about, but I believed in, where no matter what, you're gonna have to start changing what you put in your mouth. You have to. Like, if 100% of what you eat is still pizza, you're still gonna die. It's just not gonna be good for you. And I think that's where we're gonna evolve to, because the obesity rates in America, and this is, I mean, people get very upset when I talk about this. They are skyrocketing. They really,
absolutely,
really are.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the cause of that, of the increase in obesity?
It's multifactorial. I think it's our food supply. I think the fact that it's much easier or cheaper to eat badly than it is to more expensive to eat cleanly for the most part. I think that the food that is easiest to grab out there with today's lifestyle, we're all on the run, is going to be the worst food that's out there. I live in Georgia, and I hate to say it out loud, we got Chick-fil-A on every corner, and Zaxby's, and McDonald's, and all these kind of things. Waffle House, one of our favorite foods, right? Yeah. So those are the things that are just easily within reach. You add that to a genetic predisposition to storing more food than say other people will when you're eating, and it's just a horrible combination.
Right. I totally agree. I also think that this last 2 generations started out much younger. Like, I didn't even know what soda tasted like, and I'm probably around the same age, but I didn't even know what soda tasted like until I was like 12.
Well, I tweeted during the first episode of 1,000-Pound Sisters, there was a scene where they're eating peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches, and I grew up doing that. And I remember the day I graduated from my Happy Meal to my Big Mac. So I'd have to say that I grew up with the Southern cooking type of thing. But I think we are fostering a more sedentary lifestyle these days from very, very young. I have 3 boys, and I have to force them out the door and put down their devices and so forth and go do something active. Those are things that just weren't available to you and I when we were that age. We had 3 channels, so the option of getting out and going on your bike around the neighborhood was a whole lot better.
Yeah. Somebody just said peanut butter and mayo. Yes, that's a Southern thing, people. It really is. The South, because I lived in South Carolina for a long time before I moved back to Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh, moved to South Carolina, lived there for a long time, and then moved back to my parents, and now I'm down in Florida. But eating healthy down south can be an issue. Like everything's fried. Like calabash. Calabash is a style of cooking where it's just everything is fried. And I live by the beach, so holy shit! Like I mean, they would like fried Oreos. It was the first time I saw fried Oreos. It's like they'll fry anything, fried Twinkies, anything. But I really like because I do a lot with the FedEx community. I do a lot with obesity on the channel. And the statistics are just scary to me because what I relate it to is people just talk about when I talk about obesity rates going up. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing a good job of, relaying the issues that come with it. Like as those skyrocket, so does diabetes, so does more osteoarthritis, so does more. I mean, like lower limb amputations for type 2 diabetics is skyrocketing. Like the more people are losing limbs than ever before from a preventable, illness for the most part, for most people,
Yeah. And it's 2020. It's scary.
Yeah. And I just find it to be so catastrophic. What weight would somebody have to come to you to actually still be able to get approved? Like if somebody comes to you and be like, hey, I want a gastric sleeve. I need to lose 40 pounds. Like where's the cutoff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So easy answer, if it's being covered by insurance, we have to go by insurance parameters. So BMI of 35 to 39 with related comorbid conditions, diabetes, hypertension, those type of things, or a BMI of 40 or higher. BMI of 40 roughly correlates to about 100 pounds overweight. So 40 or higher, your risk of early death is increased 5 times over somebody your same age. So insurance companies luckily see that as reason enough to go ahead and have weight loss surgery. Now, I have operated on folks with BMIs between 30 and 34, done sleeve gastrectomies and gastric bypasses if they have diabetes and hypertension and all the other comorbidities, because you don't necessarily have to get that high to have those. And those patients, the interesting thing about this is, like I said, it's a neurohormonal surgery. They won't lose that much weight. Their final BMI will end up the same as my other patients that I do, but more importantly, their comorbid conditions go away. So the answer to your question is, pretty much beginning at a BMI of 30 and above, if they really meet criteria, they need this for medical reasons.
Right. And I think that's a good point. Like where I got this. So I got this one time. Being obese doesn't kill you. I was like, well, no, but the comorbidities that come along with it are what's going to get you. That's like me running across the street in 5 p.m. Atlanta traffic doesn't kill me. It's the car that's going to kill me. It's in the traffic, like I find it such a ridiculously weak argument by people. Then I understand it's an argument of emotion, because they want to feel better about themselves. But I find it to be this, we're in a stage in our society where we don't everything is against, you're in a very good business because everything is against people getting healthy almost. If you look at any TV commercial, like we're about to have the Super Bowl, there is not going to be a healthy commercial on the Super Bowl. It is going to be Domino's, beer, McDonald's, all those listings are going to be up, And don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't eat pizza, and I definitely drink beer, but I do it in moderation, And I just find it, I find it to be like such a crazy endeavor that people are trying to make unhealthy be healthy,
Well, who's advertising on those commercials? It's athletes that are on there. They don't have obese people sitting at McDonald's eating French fries, because that's not going to sell you McDonald's. It's a bit misleading, and exactly what you said about the obesity rates. This is why we're seeing this. The body mass index of 50 and above, the super morbidly obese, is the fastest rising category of any of it. So it's terrifying.
50 and above is just people don't grasp how big that is. That's what the damage done to somebody's knees and load bearing joints, their lower back. Like when Amanda was getting ready to have her curtain removed, I talked to her. I was like, well, make sure they give you physical therapy, because your gait's going to be altered. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you've been holding 80 pounds on the front of you forever. You're probably going to go to stand up, and your mind is going to be programmed. Like your neural pathways and your motor pathways are going to be wired to think that you still have that 80 pounds there. So when you go to stand up, there's a good chance you're going to throw yourself on your back, And that's how, and Amanda was much higher than 50, but 50 is still a huge number of a BMI. And I understand I wanted to talk about this because this is the one large argument that I get, that BMI is bullshit. So go ahead.
So yeah, well, there's nothing perfect, right? BMI works within the general range of humans out there, right? So I don't know if you've calculated your BMI. You probably would have a BMI over 30, given the amount of muscle you have. Muscle is
like 29.5.
Muscle weight more than fat. If you calculate a BMI on Mr. America, Miss America at competition time, what do they have, around 3% body fat? They're probably going to come back as obese or morbidly obese based on that amount of muscle. So obviously it doesn't work at the extremes, but for the most part, it's a pretty good measure.
Yeah.
If you want perfect, we got to do body composition testing, get yourself in a big water tank. We just don't have those kind of resources available to us. So it's a good rough number.
I always say, like, okay, well, I try to, even for my clients, let's get your BMI and your waist to height ratio. Because waist height ratio is a great indicator of visceral fat too. And if your waist height ratio is 1, you're not healthy. If you're as wide around as you are tall, there's a strong chance that you're going to have some issues. And people, I think people seem to misunderstand that when we take a look at the statistics around BMI, all the very ends, the extremes, are included in the statistics. That's what they don't understand. Like, it's included in statistics. So if we still say that if you have a BMI of X, you're 5 times more likely to get these 13 different types of cancer than if you're of a normalized weight. All the people like me who have a larger muscle mass or like stuff like that, we're included in that. Like, that's just statistics based off of a number. And while the number can be skewed, like, it doesn't matter how they came up with the number. It doesn't matter what type of math it uses. It doesn't matter how many variables it is. If the statistics show the correlation is actually true. It's just science, and I have a hard time explaining that to people where, yes, I understand it doesn't measure body composition. The thing I do argue about that is, though, for women saying, well, it doesn't measure body composition, you're not having enough lean mass to skew that number as a woman. Like, and if you are, you might want to have your androgen levels checked out, So you have another season getting shot. When's that coming out?
January 2021 will premiere Life by the Ton. It's going to be more of a 600-pound life format where we'll take a single patient or a couple of patients through decision for surgery, and then and follow up in 1 year in a single episode. So it'll move along a little faster. And what we're hoping to do is really kind of focus on the why. Why do you want to have this? What kind of goals do you have in mind when you reach your goal weight and so forth? Whether it's, I want to ride on a roller coaster with my kids because I couldn't do that. I want to get on an airplane because I've never been able to do that. Those are the kind of things we want to focus on, because I think that's going to make people say, this is why I need to change my life.
Yeah, I've used that argument too. Like, the two things you just mentioned, I have had people complain to me, well, the seats are too small for me. That's thin privilege. I'm being discriminated against. Listen, like, you should be, if you can't fit in a restaurant chair, you should be much more concerned about playing with your kids and the ability to, like, get down and, I said that one of the last things that got me a death threat was, I said, if you can't lay yourself down on the ground and get yourself back up without difficulty, evaluate your life, because if you're 30 years old and you have a hard time getting on the floor and getting back up, imagine when you're 60, you're probably not going to make it, because you could fall down and just stay there. I used to work in long-term care. I have a degree in hospital administration, healthcare administration. And the biggest issues we had with people were being ambulatory. Like, that's why they needed care, is because they couldn't get themselves around through either injury, age, or obesity. And we literally had, like, that was listed in their chart: injury, age, or obesity, why they needed transfer. Because if it was obesity, you needed to have more than one aide come to help move them.
Yeah.
What resources are different for like a place like yours that specializes in bariatric surgery? What resources do you have that are different than if you just had a generalized practitioner clinic?
So the hospitals that I use are all comprehensive centers who've been surveyed by the American College of Surgeons as what we used to call the old SRC Center of Excellence, but they're centers of excellence that are comprehensive, so they have all the stuff. In order to get that criteria, we have site surveys where somebody from the American College will come in and they look at everything top to bottom, not only the operating room and the operating room staff and the equipment we use, making sure all the beds that transport the patients and have the patients in the room and in the operating room can meet certain size criteria, but even things such as the waiting room furniture and radiology and waiting room, making sure that they're labeled as to how much weight they can hold. We have to have sensitivity training for the entire staff, from the OR to preoperative area and so forth. We have to have things like Hoyer lifts that are available for, I have patients that are so large they're immobile, but we have to get those people moving around. So all of this has to be available to us. Certainly, we're limited with a lot of our imaging modality just because patients can't fit on those things in the radiology suite. But other than that, we do our best to make sure. And if we don't have what a patient's going to need, we're not going to do the operation at a hospital.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember having when I was working my old job, I remember having to procure an industrial there's different. You mentioned a Hoyer lift, and there's different types. There's like the 400-pound rated one. Then there's a 700-pound. Then there's like an 1,100-pound rated one. The 1,100-pound rated one was like $42,000 or something like that. I was like, holy shit. But we needed to have one for XYZ reasons, like if somebody needed transported in a bed or something like that. And I was like, the cost to treat larger people is so much higher. The hospital's insurance, or one hospital's insurance went up that had a bariatric wing because their employees, their workman's comp insurance went up because the number one injury for nurses was their lower back for having to transport people, and it was happening more that way. I was like, there's so much involved. There's so much cost involved that if you actually think about the cost that the healthcare system goes through, and then the personalized cost of eating that much food, because even though they go for the cheap convenience food, I mean, the amount of food I've seen some people eat, I'm just like, how do you, I don't know how you afford that, So it is just this horrible plague. I think that I wish we could do more preventative ways, but I got to tell you, I'm very happy to have watched your show and changed my mind that at least afterwards, the aftercare has gotten to be a lot better, because that was my huge issue. I felt like such an ass too. I immediately sat down and started making the video, because I was like, because I had been avidly against it, open, I believe the one time I said, it's like a heroin addict having their fingers cut off. They're still going to find a way to push the plunger in. If they don't know, I was like, wow, I really need to go back on that a little bit. So
I'll give you a little bit of funny history. I guess it was about a year ago. I was playing with my TV at home and noticed I could do YouTube for my remote control. And I said, well, let me just play with this and see what I can find. And I see a picture of Casey's face and something about why Casey shouldn't have surgery. And I thought, the hell is this? So I click on it, and there you are with your podcast. And I did. I listened to the entire thing, and I thought what you said was insightful, because as he came across on the television show, certainly in the beginning, he absolutely was not available for it. And I thought you were very fair in your assessment. You were correct. You were correct at that point. We got him there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I could see where you were coming from with that. So I wasn't at all offended. Now, I'm extremely happy that we were able to sort of change your mind or your outlook on that. And that was really my whole reason for agreeing to do the show, is that if we can extend outreach and not just make this a quote unquote freak show, we want this to be we've operated on so many people, Amanda included, who came in because they saw Shataka or Drew and thought surgery for them was not possible. So we just want people to know that it is possible, and they can go out there and they can get help.
Yeah, and I think what you're doing is amazing. And again, I'm glad TLC is doing it. I mean, I do have some issues with how they edit. They made it seem like Amy went home a day later. It was like she had her surgery, and then a day later she was sitting on her living room couch talking to Casey. I was like, what the fuck? I know there's some shit there.
She did go home a day later, actually.
What'd you say?
I think she did go home a day later.
Did she really?
Some do, yeah.
Holy shit, you're amazing. You're a wizard. But just like, and I talked to Casey about it last week. I was like, you made it easy for them to make you look like an evil brat. He was like, well, part of it was because I was at the beginning. He was like, when when they first started filming, I'd already lost some weight, but I gained weight. He was like, I had just given up. But it's like for you to be able to save him is amazing to me. I mean, I think Amanda was ready, and her life was depending upon it, and I think Amy was ready, and they're both have totally caught on to their new lives and are just thriving. I mean, I keep up with them every day. So, the true amazing feat was definitely Casey. I mean, I'm amazed.
Yeah, Casey's down about 350 pounds, but I would have to say his overall mental attitude is almost more impressive.
Oh, I was Doc. I was so expecting him to be a brat last week. No shit. And Casey, I even told him that in the green room. I was like, I was expecting him to make a joke of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And somebody asked me before, I was like, well, it could go really good, like he's actually like matured, or it could get really bad because, if he acts like an immature rat, I'm gonna hurt his feelings. But he was so different than how I thought he was gonna be. He was just, I mean, in the green room before, and then we talked after, he was so different. He was amazing. Really, really amazing person. Like talking about the future and stuff, which was really cool. Really, really cool. The stuff he didn't think he had. So. But hey, I'm not going to keep you much longer because I'm sure you had a long day, and I really appreciate your time. And I tell you what, I will send you a message about us getting together. I've already talked to Amy and Amanda about getting together for dinner or something like that when we're down in Atlanta. So
sounds great. They're cheap dates now, so
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
They're cheap dates now. They can't eat very much.
That's very true also, actually, but I try not to eat out at restaurants too much, but I'm at kind of mercy of the conference I'm speaking at. So, but I'm looking forward to it. And I wanted to thank you again, and everybody out there, thank you for watching. And if you are ever in the Atlanta area and you are considering gastric bypass surgery, or you need some sort of help with weight loss, Dr. Proctor is your man. So thank you, everybody. And where can they find your social media? We might as well send them there too.
On Instagram, I'm at GA Baridoc. That's GABARIDOC, Georgia Baridoc. And I have a Facebook account at Charles D. Proctor Jr. MD.
Outstanding. Thank you very much, Doc. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye.